here are my 10 most insane beliefs, and they are also a wonderful way to save America from itself. All right, here's 10 easy steps to save America, and it sums up my beliefs. And I'm actually throwing you fucking assholes a bone because I'm showing you something you can't actually say is controversial and you don't agree with, okay? Here's something you can finally say that's insane. Abolish prison. 5% of the people in prison are fucking nutbars who could not survive in society and deserve to be in a cage. The other 1.9 million, we've got what, 2.2 in there? They are there for stupid domestic charges, which is a chick who regrets it. She got beat up. She got a restraining order. She changed her mind. They got back together. She called the cops again a year later. He's now violated his restraining order and is treated the same as a stalker who crawled through the window. Meanwhile, his socks are in her top drawer. That's fucking 400,000 people in jail. The drug war, well, that's just everything now. That's assault, murder, all these other. I'm sure it's linked to domestic abuse too. Stop incentivizing drug use and you stop having drug arrests. So, and then you go, well, wait a minute, Gavin, you're crazy. What about murders? I'm going to handle that in number 2, but murder is a very rare crime. For someone to get to the point where they lose their shit so much they murder, they almost never do it again. And by the way, on this show, we're going to be making things called generalizations. Now, I know this is hard for 50% of the country to digest, but you're allowed to notice patterns, all right? So when I say there's nobody who has 2 heads and eats iguanas for breakfast, when you find someone who does actually have like a weird twin growing out of their side and actually does get so hungry in Arizona that they may pop a little gecko in their mouth, that doesn't negate my fucking point, okay? Just because you found an exception to the rule doesn't mean the whole fucking pattern is noticed. Oh yeah? Race exists? Really? I know an albino African dude who is part Czechoslovakian and part Native American. Ergo, there's no such thing as black people. No, fuckface. It means you know a weird person. So, we're going to abolish prison. Someone who murders is about the worst case scenario with that theory, and that's very rare. Next. Number 2, we're going to give everyone a gun. You know who didn't get looted during the riots in Ferguson or any fucking riot this year? The guy with the machete, the guy that was armed. Remember that dude, Machete Batman? What was he called? The Batman of Baltimore. He didn't have a gun. He just had a machete and no one went near him. Let's get him a gun. And we'll be talking about this with John Lott. He wrote an article recently on Fox's site about how rarely we discuss the armed people who stopped attackers. And one thing we can't even discuss because the numbers are so huge they're impossible to quantify, but the number of crimes that are deterred just by assuming she might have a gun in her purse. You can't rape a 38. Number 3, legalize drugs. That takes care of our prison problem, takes care of our guns problem. Right now, I don't understand why everyone in New York is so anti-gun when they're living in a failed gun control experiment. I can't have a fucking BB gun in this city. I can't have a splat ball gun. I've been shot like this with a BB gun. In 1989, Paul McCarthy, we were all sleeping over at Tom Williams' house, and Paul said, I called dibs on that bed. I think it was Tom's brother's bed or something. And I got shit-faced, as teenagers are wont to do, and I passed out. And I woke up, and Paul was going, get the fuck out of the bed. And he was pointing a German Luger replica in my face. And I told him to fuck off. And he just went, and I saw him go, oh shit. And blood was pouring out of my face. It's very inconvenient. You have to go to ER within several years. And they cut open your face if it's healed. And they pull it out with these very scary looking like alien tube tongs that bend and are super long and pointy. Is the sound it makes when it comes out of your face. That's the worst case scenario. Well, maybe the eyeball. But basically, BB guns, you'd have to take a night course in hurting yourself to hurt yourself. Totally legal. But guess what we have in New York? Over a murder a day. So it's clearly not working giving only the bad guys guns. Let's legalize drugs. We haven't incentivized crime. Now what is the crime in America? Shoplifting? Good. What's next? I think we're up to 5 now, right? End welfare is a doozy. And I also learned this from my boy John Lott. Back in the 50s, when we didn't give black people money to dump their boyfriends, which is what single mother welfare is, break up with him here, they had a crime rate that was about the same as whites. Now we know the black crime rate is unfathomable. It's so high that Eric Holder has said, I don't want to hear about this. Okay, we won't tell you? No. Don't even record it. The racial crime stats are now done because Eric Holder saw them and his hair went white. If his skin went white, he wouldn't have cared. So, since the 50s, however, we've incentivized welfare and we split up the family. That's a huge part of crime. That's a huge part of shit education. That's a huge part of all the problems. Next one. What are we up to now? 7? 5, close the borders. Anne's book sums that up real simple like. Adios, America. That's where we're headed with the borders. If you don't think that is an issue and you think that we're all a nation of immigrants and that most immigrants are sweethearts just coming here to clean your house, you're a fucking moron. Google it. Next. Outlaw censorship. Now, I have to be honest. I started peppering some in because I wanted to get to 10. That's a nice number. Outlaw censorship sort of pops up in some other ones, like the last one, shut down the government. But when I say outlaw censorship, I'm not just talking about the government, because the Supreme Court is actually pretty cool when it comes to the First Amendment. When they get a case and it comes down to free speech, they tend to err on the side of the First Amendment and let that guy say whatever the fuck he wants. If you want to start a Klan rally called Chinks or Fags and march down to City Hall, you'll get a police escort. You will be protected. I'm not really talking about the government on this one. I'm talking about us. We're the shitbags when it comes to censorship. We're the ones trying to get people fired. We're the ones getting offended or pretending to get offended all the time. We're the ones that want to shut down comedy clubs and end that whole genre, that whole job. We want to end it. We're the ones freaking out. I just saw the other day, remember Brendan Ike, the guy who got fired from Mozilla? One of the homos who shut him down was goading him on Twitter. He's been fired for a year. And he's like, I haven't heard much of Brendan Ike. Wonder what that little fucking homophobe's up to. And Brendan Ike tweets him back and goes, you called for me to be fired and said I should never work again. And that's what's been going on. Still unemployed, still fucked. And he goes, how are you? And then this guy goes, happily married, having fun, thereby proving that his whole point was just to fuck up the guy's life. That's what we have to get away from. I don't care. I'm offended from every moment I wake up to the second I go to bed, and half of my nightmares are offensive. So I'm offended 23.5 hours a day. We have to live with that. Next. Venerate the housewife. I don't know how many dried up ovaries I walk around next to every day. I barely know any chicks who have kids. All my friends from high school, their cunts are like rotten tea bags, baby free, and will remain that way. And they always say, good. I think kids are gross. They always say childbirth is gross too. And they can't wait to have their career. And I go, what's your career? And they go, scheduling marketing meetings with record labels. Oh, good. I'm glad you didn't create a human life. Let's stop making the housewife a sellout job and stop glorifying these shitty careers women take. There's something you can be offended by. Next. Glorify the entrepreneur. We're coming to the end here, guys. I'm sorry to drop so much heaviness on you at the beginning of a brand new show. I promise this will be much cheerier, but I have to get this out of the way so you know where I'm coming from. Michelle Malkin has a great book out called Who Built That? And it's making fun of Obama's stupid quote where he goes, you have a business? You didn't build that. People took roads to get there. Why does he talk Southern, by the way, when he's from fucking Hawaii? Don't they talk like Canadians? They sound like hosers to me. We need to glorify entrepreneurs and vilify them less. Like Donald Trump made a ton of money. That's cool. When the oil companies have record profits, you don't go, ew, gross, record profits? I want them to make record losses. Next. Recognize the West is the best. I want more. This is, I will admit, pretty offensive. I'm a Western chauvinist. I've lived all over the world. I know a lot about other cultures, and I know how much they suck shit. Okay? Multiculturalism reeks. And we see this Every day, with every attack, these jihadists go, well, I'm told America sucks, so what else you got? Oh, we have this culture Islam that's super proud of itself and wants to blow everything up. I'm in. And we choose that. If we could be more chauvinistic and more proud and not be sent home on Cinco de Mayo from our own high schools for wearing an American flag shirt, you would see a ripple effect from that patriotism of a lot more great American things. We don't suck. We didn't start slavery. We ended it. Let's be a little more smug. Last, shut down the government. All I can think of when people say that is roads. And I don't know where we got this idea that roads are free. When I go upstate, I end up spending about $40 fucking on my Easy Pass. They seem pretty privatized to me. So say we have a few more potholes, which I don't think will happen. We don't need them for anything. And let's stop imbuing all this faith into basically the DMV. You know when you go to the DMV and everyone there is borderline retarded and they can't even pronounce Gavin McInnes? You know those morons? That's the whole White House. All politicians are just ugly actors. It's Hollywood for ugly people, but even more ruthless and shallow. So let's stop coming up with these ideas where we go, let's get more regulation, like even Occupy Wall Street. Fuck the rich. We want to fucking close down Wall Street. We need more government regulation. They're screaming anti-cop stuff and waving communist flags. Do you know how many cops you're going to get if this place goes Russian on your ass? You're going to vanish in the middle of the night for going to a protest is what's going to happen. Or it'll be like in Chile where they spray purple paint on you, and then every time the cops see someone purple, they kick the living shit out of them for weeks after. That's what happens when you let more regulation take over.